Hello, welcome to another gardening Q&A on White Davy Gardening and Worm Farm. Today's live, we are going to be discussing whatever it is that you want to discuss. Okay, so so we're going to be discussing whatever topic you want to discuss today. I did not prepare anything for you guys because I know sometimes you like to share what's going on with your garden and stuff like that. So today it's all about you. So it has been a very busy week for me, and outside the temperature is just not good, not good at all. It's just all over the place. Today you have a very high, well, relatively high temperature. Tomorrow it's extremely cold. So last week we had some really nice weather, and for me in particular, to be outside in just a t-shirt, you know that it must be pretty warm. Well, it could be because I'm working really hard, so my body is producing a lot of heat. But yes, I was outside in just a t shirt last week. Today, I have to be outdoors in my thick winter jacket. And it has been snowing all day on and off. Sometimes it's just a few flurries. Sometimes it looks as if a blizzard is about to start. So it has just been, the last 2 weeks have been crazy. So the next, yesterday was cold, today is cold, tomorrow is supposed to be cold, and then Wednesday it's supposed to be a high of 17 degrees, and then Thursday it's back to being cold. Hi, Han White. Yeah, it is really, really crazy weather. I was planning on getting my outdoor project almost complete in the next by the end of this week, but I'm not sure that's gonna happen because at the rate the weather is all over the place. I don't know because what I need to do I cannot do if it is snowing. I cannot do if it is extremely windy, and it is extremely windy. So I'm just stuck with running outside whenever the snow stops and run back in and not getting much done. But anyway, what do you guys want to talk about today? I'll just keep talking until you talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Yes, so sorry, my yard renovation project is coming on quite nicely, not as fast as I hope it would be. Um, I started the project about 6 weeks now. I thought I would be finished in about 2 weeks, maybe three, but because the weather is so bipolar, I'm not getting anywhere at all. It's frustrating, but then when I look and see that the project is actually getting somewhere, it's not too bad. But I need to have it done now because it is distracting me from everything else that I need to get done. Oh, there comes the snow again. Yes, the good thing is that it is too warm for the snow to stay on the ground, so at least I'm happy for that. Yes. So I still haven't finished building the walkway that I'm creating in the backyard yet because I don't want us to be trampling on the lawn because I'm going to be reseeding it. I'm still collecting free compost from the compost depot. So I made 2 trips already, carrying almost 100 gallons or half a yard of free compost each trip. And I still need to make quite a few more, but I'm surprised that it is taking so much compost to cover the entire backyard because I made over 30 trips last fall, and here I am making more. Hi, Noah Gardner. How is your day going? Yeah, so I still have quite a few trips leave to make, but I'm pretty satisfied with how the compost is turning out. So I'm going to be reseeding the lawn sometimes, maybe by the end of this week. So I should have all the compost I need by then, provided we have nice weather, of course. This is Saskatchewan, so you can never really bank on having nice weather. You just have to go with the flow and just always have a plan B, because the chances are whatever you have planned, you might just not get it done because the weather is just all over the place. So yeah, but it is coming out nicely. I've finished the door. Well, I shouldn't say I've finished the door because I still haven't sanded and stained the door for my shed yet. And I still haven't got the sand in the sandbox for my kids yet. I don't know when I'm gonna get the sand. That's gonna take quite a while. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to have it delivered or I'm gonna have to go and pick it up myself. So the topic for today is whatever you want to talk about. We don't have a specific topic for today because it is the viewers' day today to talk about whatever gardening topic they want to. Yeah, so if you have anything that you want to talk about, what's going on in your garden or whatever, feel free to share it. Yeah, so that is what I am working on. The kids are pretty excited about their sandbox. They're actually starting to play in there already, and there is no sand in it, but maybe they're so excited that they're going in it to play whenever they get the chance to go outside. Yes, it is gonna take a lot of sand, but before I actually think about buying sand, sometimes we have a free website called well, a website that you can advertise if you're selling or if you have free stuff on, called Kijiji. So I'm gonna go on it and see if maybe anyone has extra sand that they are not going to be using first before I consider buying any, because it's gonna be a lot of sand to fill their box. I think I'm gonna need about half yard of sand. But we'll see. If I can't source it for free, then I will have to buy it whenever that is. Yes. So I'm pretty excited because today I got my European Nightcrawlers. Yes, I got my shipment of European Nightcrawler from Unwide. So I actually have them in their worm bin already. So I think that is going to be tomorrow's video, because the moment I got it, I stopped doing what I was doing and started recording what I'm doing with these night crawlers. But it was so exciting seeing them, watching them, because they were just crazy. They were just all over the place. But I'm not gonna say too much about that because I'll be telling you what tomorrow video is. Yeah, so yes, I'm pretty excited for those little guys. Let's see. Okay, that's like Facebook Marketplace. Okay, yeah, I've seen Facebook Marketplace, but surprisingly, I've never really been on it. Yeah, I've never really been on it. I don't know why. I don't really use Facebook much. I don't use social media much anyway, so maybe that's why. Because the most I do on social media is YouTube. Yeah, I don't like, if I'm using social media, it's usually for my worms or for gardening or to catch up occasionally with some friends. But I don't really like social media because I'm not someone who is going to tell you everything there is to know about me. If I'm going on a trip, you have to know I'm on a trip. And no offense to people who that is their way of life, but it's just not mine. I like to keep my life private as much as possible. So, yes, I don't really use much social media. Let's see. I'm still tidying my garden and waiting for the weather to change to the proper spring. Yes, well, I got my garden tidied because last fall I spent most of my time prepping the garden for this season, so I don't really have much to do in terms of prepping my garden. I do have a bit of tidying up to do because one section where I have my garden, I was storing lumber beside the garden, so I have that moved out, so I need to clean up that area. And then for my self-wicking buckets, I had those covered with plastics and wood and you name it, anything that would keep it covered so that the snow would not get in. So I have that to clean up, but beyond that, I don't really have much cleaning to do in the garden. I need to put out one more container and then I am finished prepping everything for my garden for this year. I'm finished planning my garden too as to what is going to be planted where, but of course, as you know, sometimes you plan that this is gonna go here and this is gonna go there, but when it comes down to it, you change your mind. But for now, I have everything in the garden planned, so I am not too stressed like I was last year. Oh, last year was it was fun, but it was overwhelming because I was trying to figure out, oh my goodness, where am I gonna put this in the garden? Where am I gonna put that in the garden? Because last year I grew quite a few more things than I'm used to growing. So yeah, it actually was a task figuring out what to go where. And then last year, well, every year, for some reason, I don't know if it is the birds or what it is, but I always have tomato plants just springing up from Lord knows where. So when that happens, I usually feel sorry for the plant. So it's hard for me to just take it out and throw it away. So I always try to find somewhere to put it, and then my garden get overcrowded. So this year, I'm not going to really be doing that. Anything that I did not directly plant, I'm going to be getting rid of. So I don't think I should feel guilty or feel sorry for the plant because it's not as if it is going to waste, really. It's always going in my compost bin or it's going in the worm bin. So it's not as if it is actually going to waste. But anyway, I usually feel sorry for the plant. But my garden space is all booked out. So any strays that I have this year, I'm sorry, but they will have to find themselves a new home or become food for my garden. Let's see. Okay, uh, looked at that comment already. So, Noah Gardner, how is your garden coming on? How are those flowers? I saw that you had quite a lot of flowers sprouting this year. So, how is it coming on? Last year, I had quite a bit of projects in the yard that I needed to work on. And this year, I have even more projects. When I was working on my projects last year, I thought, oh, yes, I'm finally going to be able to relax next year. But then some of the projects I have to keep on repeating the same thing every year. And then some of them are new projects. So I don't think I'm going to have enough time to complete all the projects that are lined up for this growing season. Hi, Melanie. Yeah. Oh, hi, Macbejan. You said you're glad to see another chat your backyard videos. I'm very impressed with your use of space. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. So you have a question. We're supposed to get a frost tomorrow night, and I've planted tomatoes and peppers. Should I be worried? That depends on how cold it is going to be outdoors. But what I would recommend is that you cover them up either with plastic or if you have containers that are big enough, plastic containers that are big enough to fit over your plants, try to get them all covered because the frost will definitely damage them. So you have to have them covered. If you don't have have plastic containers or plastic, then maybe a thick blanket over them. That will work too. But you're definitely going to need to cover them because peppers and tomatoes, they don't do well with frost at all. Okay, your flowers are doing great. Excellent. You see, McBajan says, I'm getting actually snow overnight. Actual snow overnight. I knew I'd see another snow or two. Oh, hi, Russell. Yes, I've been getting snow for the last 2 days. Well, now, yesterday, just a little bit of flurries, but today we're actually getting snow. Sometimes it looks as if it's going to go into a blizzard condition, and other times it's just flurries, and other times it's not snowing. But it's been like that all day and extremely windy. So, because of that, I can't really work on my outdoor project. It's a good thing I went and collected some compost from the free depot yesterday. So at least I'm able to go outside when it is not snowing and spread some more compost. But yeah, we've been getting quite a bit of snow. Thankfully, it's not cold enough for the snow to stay on the ground. Okay, just saying greetings to each other. Yeah, so it has been a pretty interesting and a pretty busy spring so far for me. Tiring sometimes, to be honest. And I guess it is tiring because I am trying to work with a deadline because I have quite a lot of projects that I need to have finished. Some need to be finished before spring ends, and some need to be finished for the summer. So, yes, it's been pretty interesting, but I think at the end of the day, when I'm able to sit down and relax and look at my completed projects, then I will finally be able to reap the benefits and actually enjoy. Let's see. Melanie says, we will be having snow Tuesday night into Wednesday, so I am trying to cover everything with leaves. Hope that helps. Leaves work pretty well too. Let's see. Noah Gardner says, it's supposed to be, oh, you're welcome, and it is supposed to be around 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Hi, Leafy Wiggy. How are those worms of yours? Let's see. You say you planted your sunflowers too early. I got I got almost 1 foot tall already. Wow, nice. Yes, it is nice. Yeah, I can actually start planting some things outdoors starting next week, the cool weather crop. But I don't think I'm gonna start just yet because I want to make sure that nothing is gonna go wrong. Well, I shouldn't say nothing because you cannot prevent things from going wrong, but you can reduce the risk of things going wrong. So I'm gonna wait a little bit to start my cool weather crops outdoors. As for the things that I have winter sown in jugs, nothing has sprouted yet. I see three different types of plant in one of the jugs and nothing else in the rest. And I don't know why I'm seeing three different types of plant because I only plant one type of plant in each of these containers. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, nothing has sprouted yet. We'll see what happens in the next week or so. Because if in the next week nothing starts to sprout in them, I'm just gonna go ahead and direct sow everything outdoors because I don't want to be late with the cool weather crop at all. And I'm not going to be planting as much of each type of cool weather crop like I did last year because then I will not have space to plant all the cool weather crops that I intend to grow this year. Let's see, my patient says, I had African violet come up only to get trounced by weather. Oh, they will be back all good. Was nice to see briefly though. Oh, so they sprout and then the weather affected them, so they died back. So when that happened, will they spring up again? for this season, or will you have to wait for another season? Yeah, I have my scallions that are outdoors. I planted them last year, and after I harvested the scallions, I planted the cuttings that I took from it, because when I'm reaping anything like onions, um, bunching onions and scallions, I usually harvest it, and then when I'm using them, I cut them like 1 inch up from the root and then plant that 1 inch section again. So I did that for my scallions last fall, and some of them started growing this year, but then we're still getting snow sometimes and we're still getting frost. So the ones that started growing, they died back, and when I dug around the root to look at them, I saw that the plant was actually dead. So there's no chance of those that actually sprouted to come back. So we'll see what happened to the ones that haven't sprouted yet. I didn't bother to dig around to see what's happening with them, if they're okay, because I didn't want to take any chance of affecting the plants and its roots. But then I have a lot of seeds, so if it does not grow back, then at least I will still have seeds to grow. And I have a few plants that I started indoors about October or November, so I can always propagate from those. Okay, so you said they will come back. It happens every year. Okay, good. Daffodils came up too, and the same. Okay, once the sun comes, they will be great. Okay, good, because I was a bit worried about my tulips, if maybe the frost will affect them and then they just die and not come back. So it's good to know that these type of plants will actually come back, because I've never really grown bulbs here before, so I don't really know what to expect from them, and I've never planted garlic before. So yeah, it's good to know that they will come back even if they are exposed to the frost. Okay, what gardeners is asked if African violet grow outdoors. That is something I don't know, because I don't really know what African violet looks like. So not Belgian can answer that one for you, or whoever has the answer for that. So do you have a lot of things growing outside now, or do you have some things growing? Are you guys able to put your cool weather crops outdoors yet? So for me, I can, if it is seeds, I can actually start the seeds for my cool weather crop now. But if it is the actual plant, it's not time to transplant them outdoors yet. But because the seeds take a while to germinate, so yes. But I'm pretty excited because in 4 weeks, four, no, in 5 weeks, I'll be able to actually start planting everything outdoors, and I have pretty much everything that I intend to plant outdoors started, except for those things that has to be direct sown. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I just spent some time today finally to start some cucumbers and pumpkin, not pumpkin, but squash. I call it pumpkin. Squash, and what was the other one I got started today? Melons. Yes, I got quite a few melons started today. I got hammy melon. I got one they call Santa melon. I have baby sweet or sweet baby, whatever they call it. And some other melon that I'm not sure what the name is. I bought it in the store. It was this little, very little green, light green melon, but there wasn't any name on it, but it tasted good. My kids like it, so I decided to save some of the seeds. So I got those seeds sown today as well. And this year I'm going to go a few varieties of cucumbers. The only one I don't have that I want to grow so far is the English. I would really like to try growing that one. I've never grown it before. So usually I look for a cucumber that is similar to the variety that I'm very used to. I don't know it by name, I just know it by appearance. So I'm gonna try to see, I'm gonna grow these different varieties. I have one that is a hybrid sweet slicer, and I have one that they just call slicer, and earliest minku or whatever whatever it is. And then there's another variety, I don't know the name of it. So I have four different types that I'm going to grow, and the reason I'm growing so many different type of cucumbers is because I want to test them to see the flavor. If it is the same, I want to see how it grows, how it produce. um, I want to see if they can last, if any of them would spoil quicker than the other, because those factors are going to determine which type I'm going to be growing next year if I'm still alive. Okay, so Mark Bayesian says, yes, it does very well and it's annual. Okay, delicate though, wind, rain, etc. affects the plant, but it's resilient and beautiful with the purples. Nice. Okay, so you want to grow them in the house. Melanie says, I have lots of peas coming up. Will the frost kill it? I don't know much about peas because I've never really grown peas here. I'm going to be growing peas this year, but I still haven't researched what type of condition is required for peas, so I don't really know much about that. And I know that a lot of factors affect it. For example, they have different varieties based on the region that you're growing in. So the seeds might be tailored to your climatic conditions. I don't really know much about it. So unfortunately, I'm not able to answer that question for you, but I don't know if maybe someone who is more familiar with growing peas might be able to answer that for you. There might be some varieties that are able to withstand some amount of frost, but to be on the safe side, if you're unsure, just cover them. Okay, so Macbejan says he has those flowers inside as well. I have them in front garden for about 7 years now. Okay, nice. They come back without any care and spread a bit. Okay, see, I'm learning more about new plants. Oh, you've never had any luck with cucumbers. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I've always been fortunate with cucumbers, but last year, no. Last year, I don't know what happened last year because all my previous years, my cucumbers have done pretty well. Why is that light changing color or changing the shade? I'm not touching it, but it is changing its shades. I don't know. Yeah, so yes, last year I did not harvest a lot of cucumbers, and I started them very early, not too early, but I started them early, and for whatever reason, they were very slow, and I give them practically all the care that I usually give them, but they were pretty slow, and then just when the growing season was close to ending, they started to do better, but then mice decide to eat down to eat down every time a cucumber would grow. The mice would get to it. So this year, if I have similar problem, I'm going to have to put a fencing around so they can't quite get to it. Yes, but I was pretty disappointed because I was so looking forward to my cucumbers last year, but yeah, I didn't get to harvest much of it at all. New York Gardener says, I want to do watermelon, sugar baby, cucumbers, cantaloupes, but I don't know when to plant them. Okay. Planting them is dependent on your growing season. So what I would recommend is that you research it. So whether you're going to research it online or ask Google, but in your region there should be a farmer's almanac that you can find online that will tell you when you can grow those things. But if you are in doubt as to when to grow them, just as soon as your last frost is up, then you can plant them then. Or if not, just before your last frost, you can actually start the seedlings indoors. But make sure that when if you're starting them indoors, it is close to your last frost. That way they won't grow too big before you can put them outdoors, because you know those vining plants tend to grow pretty fast. So you want to make sure that you start them close to the last frost date. They always look like tadpoles. What looks like tadpoles? I'm not sure. Okay, so Melanie says, but I am still planting them this year. Okay, your peas and beans you're talking about? Oh, hi, Helpy. Yes, so LP, we're just talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. Yeah, nothing special was planned for you guys. I figured it's nice every now and then to just have a free, free. Well, where you guys just talk about whatever you feel like. Let's see. So Matt Bejan says, I read the Farmer's Almanac just to see if it's right, and it always is. So entertaining. Okay, well, that's good. I don't usually follow Farmer's Almanac, but this year, because I'm growing a lot of things that I'm not familiar with growing in this region, so I decided I'm going to be looking at them at the Farmer's Almanac to see if I can get some information, because I want to do the best or get the best or the most out of whatever I'm growing. And I'm actually pretty glad that I did that. So I'm going to be able to look to see what the outcome is like. And especially, I'm happy that I looked at the Farmer's Almanac, because I learned from looking at it that some of the crops that I've been planting after the last frost date, I could actually start direct sowing them outdoors before the last frost. So it worked out well for me. I got to learn something new. So now I'm going to be starting things like my squash just before the last frost date. Because squash, I've never really had a good harvest of squash since I've been here. Uh, just a few of them I've ever been able to harvest, even if I have many plants. And most of the time it is because the fruits have not reached maturity. So I think maybe I'm planting them a little too late. And then squash seeds take a really, really long time to germinate. So because of that, when you sow the seeds, they take forever to germinate. And then because I'm starting it later than I should, so I end up running out of growing time. But this year, I'm gonna be right on time with those squash and see how they work out. Because I would like to have a lot. I wish I had more space because I would have quite a few plants, but I'll work with what I have and see how it turns out. Let's see. LP says, that's fun. This time of year, I think we all have extra to talk about. Yes, so much to talk about and so much to learn. There is a lots and lots out there to learn. So yes. Russell says it looks like I'll be planting cucumbers called National Pickling and Straight Eight in a couple of hours from now. Also sugar babies, cantaloupes, zucchinis, and yellow squash. Okay. Yes, I have. Oh, that's the variety that I could not remember from my cucumbers. It is the straight eight. I don't know if it will germinate and grow because it is one of those seeds that I got from the lady that I bought my greenhouse from 2 years ago. Yeah, yeah, 2 years ago, but or three. I'm not sure if it's two or three. I think it was 2 years ago. But I don't know how long before she gave me the seeds that she actually had them, and there are no dates on them. So I'm just looking to see if those seeds that I got from her are going to germinate, and the straight eight was among them. But the name sounds interesting. I was wondering as I looked at it, why is it called straight eight? Does it grow to only 8 inches and no bigger? Let's see what patient says. Yes, LP, you are right. And thanks for reminding all. I hit the thumbs up first thing every time. Oh, thank you guys. Oh, you're talking about the cucumbers, Melanie. Okay. So you say your cucumbers look like tadpole. LP says, I grew sugar baby last year. Bugs got me, and the one fruit that made it, I harvested too late. Oh, hopefully this year you're more prepared to deal with those bugs, eh? Do you know what type of bugs got to it? Hi, Growing with Jay. LP says, my single seed challenge squash seeds have not germinated, but according to the pot, it should have. I might have to try again. Oh, sorry about that, my dear. Yeah, speaking of single seed challenge, it's time to do another update on mine. My potty girl is doing quite well. So, quite well, it's growing. I don't know if maybe because I'm constantly watching it, so it doesn't seem to be growing as fast as I would expect it to. Or, yeah, it could be my anxiety why it doesn't seem as if it is growing as fast as it should, but it is growing. It has true leaf and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's doing okay. But it says the seeds that cause me the most suspense while germinating peppers. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know you. I know exactly what you mean. I watch the peppers like an arc because they take so long to germinate, and then because for my sweet peppers and stuff like that, I don't really care much because they grow quite or more easily than other. Oh, my pen is falling. Yeah, so the sweet peppers look as if they grow faster or germinate faster than my Scotch bonnet. But because I'm so interested in having Scotch bonnet, because it is very difficult to get Scotch bonnet peppers here to buy. Occasionally you get them, and when you get them, I don't know if it is the case that they're harvesting them too early, so they don't really have that flavor or that heat that they're supposed to have, or if it is the case that maybe when they're growing it with other peppers, so they are cross contaminated, or they cross pollinate is the right word. Yeah, they cross pollinate, and so it affects the flavor and the heat of the peppers. I don't know if that's what is happening, but man, it is so difficult to actually find a really good Scotch bonnet. So when I plant my seeds, every day I'm there looking to see if they germinate. And even though I know they said it can take up to 21 days for the peppers to germinate, sometimes I am there like the very day after I plant it. I'm looking to see if anything has started yet. Okay, LP says yes, pepper takes long. Okay, so you have squash borers and tomato and cucumber beetles. Okay. So have you figured out how to deal with those pests yet? The cucumber beetles and the squash borers? I don't quite know how to deal with them just yet, but I know for the squash borers, they say that you can rescue the plant by cutting where you see the little hole or the little brown spot that the squash borers cause, the point where they enter into the plant, and cut them out of it. But I don't really know how to treat them in terms of pesticide to get rid of it. So that is something that I'm going to have to research just in case, because this year I'll be growing a little bit more squash than usual, and a little bit I'll be growing some melons and stuff, and I don't know if they're going to affect melons as well. So I'm going to have to do some research on them to see. Okay. I like to jot things down because sometimes I think I'm going to remember stuff, and then when the time comes, I'm like, I know I was supposed to remember something, but I can't remember what it is. So, yeah, let's see. Okay, so you think that is what affected your plants? Okay, Matt Bayesian says, you know what I like? That punchline. Yeah, man, it's time to grow. Okay, yeah. Um, that expression, when people who are not from Jamaica use it, Jamaicans always laugh because they say yeah, 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 man. That's how they say it. But it's actually not yeah, man. It's yeah, yeah, man. So it would be like ye, yeah, man, not yeah, yeah, man. Yes, I know. I know it is pretty catchy, just because of the Yemen part of it, and I think maybe it's because of that movie Cool Runnings. So a lot of people get familiar with the expressions, and because Cool Runnings was such a big hit, so because of that, people tend to like that expression, Yemen. Let's see. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it's going well. I look forward to the update. Yes, I'll be giving an update. And speaking of which, I need to get back on track with my How to Grow series. Since I took the break from YouTube a few weeks ago, well, that's over a month ago, I haven't really been doing my How to Grow series, so I need to get back on track with that. But I've been so busy with the yard project that a lot of my videos that are supposed to be done are not being done. But I think I'm going to finally get myself back on track pretty soon. Let's see. Melanie says she likes that track line too. Okay, that punch line, that track line. Bejan says waiting for seeds to pop is like watching water to bubble. Terrible. Best to stay busy and look back in 4 to 5 days. It's easier said than done. Easier said than done. Especially for people like me, I like to watch and see and say, okay, because if I sow my seeds and they germinate and I didn't get to see when they're germinating, I'm like, Oh, when did those germinate? I wanted to see that. I think I'm a bit crazy. No worries. I'm used to my craziness. It's just like my worms that I will just sit and watch them. I actually find it relaxing to just sit and watch the plants or sit and watch the worms. I don't know what about it is relaxing, but yeah. Russell says, yeah, man, it's time to grow. It sounds so cool. I always smile. Okay. Well, I'm glad to know I'm able to make you smile. So, pretty soon I'm going to be adding a little bit more of the patwa to my intro when I'm doing my videos, if I have the guts to do so. But yes, I'm thinking of doing that, make it a bit more lively because when I'm doing my live, I'm smiling and I'm laughing and everything. But when I'm doing my videos, I tend to be a bit stiff. So yeah, try to put a little bit more life into it because in general, I'm not really someone who talk a lot. I'm usually very quiet, but then making conversation for me is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. If you don't keep the conversation going or if you don't start the conversation after two sentences, I'm like, and I don't know what to say. So, yeah, so for that reason, sometimes my videos can be a bit stiff, but that's just who I am. Okay. So, McDonald said, yeah, Melanie, as soon as I saw it, I liked the line. Yeah, man, it's time to grow. It's catchy. Okay, cool. That's good to know. McDonald said, yeah, you too. Agreed. I watched my seedlings at least 10 times a day. Oh, then I shouldn't feel bad then because I'm just as guilty, Melanie. Yes. To be honest, the only reason I am not watching my seedlings as often as I would like to is because I'm too busy, but there are times when, and the main reason why I'm not watching my seedlings is because the grow light is not good for your eyes. So I try not to go there and look at them every 5 seconds. But other than that, every time I have a free time, I'll be there looking at my seedlings. See, New York Gardener says, I started my peppers in the house on the grow lights and they germinated in only a few days, as did my tomatoes. That's nice. That's good. Yes, tomatoes germinate very easily. Tomatoes, you don't even have to soak the seeds for them to germinate readily. And peppers, though, kind of take longer. So, what I do with peppers is I don't really buy the pepper seeds unless I don't have a choice. Yes, I don't really buy the pepper seeds. I harvest it from peppers that I get. So sweet, whether it is sweet peppers or whatever type of peppers, I like to harvest it from the fruit. That way, the seed does not get old because when the seeds are fresh, they tend to germinate a whole lot faster than when the seeds. The longer you have the seeds, the harder the seeds get, which makes it harder for the seeds to germinate. So for that reason, I like to get the seeds and just harvest it from the fruits, and within a few weeks of harvesting it, I'll plant the seeds. And if I have the seeds longer than that, like for the following year, then I will definitely soak the seeds before I actually start planting them. Let's see, LP says, I think I mixed something here. Okay, you're talking to growing with J. Oh, so you do use deep diatomaceous earth before you even see them? Oh, I must have missed something there. Okay, I think I missed quite a lot. Hmm. Okay, so LB says, I'm still learning. It was too late to cut them out last year. I had my melon in the same bed and it didn't appear to have the borers. Good to know. I heard you can wrap tin foil around the stem to protect it. Okay, nice information. I think I should jot that down. Okay, that's some good information there. McBain says, ah, yes, we all do. Try to remember the boiling pot of water, not boiling till you walk away. Okay, so let's see. Jay says, I grow my zucchini vertically and treat the vine borers with heavy hose, heavy dose of diatomaceous earth around the base. Suffered for years with squash borers. Okay, so the diatomaceous earth actually works for squash borers as well. It's interesting. I should drop that down too. It's interesting. I'm always trying to figure out how is it that diatomaceous earth will work on these caterpillar type of creatures and it won't affect worms. They have kind of a similar body type, so how is it that it doesn't affect worms? Or does it affect worms but we are not aware of it? I don't know. Um, what's so different about their bodies? It would be interesting if I could find the answer to that. Okay. Pieces. I don't know exactly what took out my cantaloupe and watermelon, but there were a ton of cucumber beetles. They were growing like crazy, loads of little of mini fruits. So cute, and then they died. Oh, sorry. Yes. So at least now you're getting some tips as to what you can do this year to prevent that from happening. So if you get if you use those remedies before, anticipate that you're going to have those problems again and put those things in place before you actually or when you plant your cucumbers and cantaloupes and stuff. That way these squash borers won't have a chance to affect your plants. So don't wait until they actually start affecting your plants to put those in place so that because the chances are if you had this issue last year, chances are you might have it again because pests always return to the spot where they find food. So yes, being proactive might work out in your favor. Okay, help says I like your punchline too. Glad you added it. Okay, thank you. Okay. So LP is saying to Jay, oh, so do you use the diatomaceous earth before you even see them? My curly squash were doing so good and then they started to die. I harvested castings today, still need to bait the worms out, and counted 500, most still in bed. Admittedly, I enjoyed myself. But that's good to know. Yes, it's good to know you're enjoying yourself as you harvest your castings and that your worms are doing okay. Yes, be yourself. Bring you, we love you. Okay, thank you. I love you guys too. I've got a very nice community. I have noticed similar with cantaloupes, mini fruits dying. I call it self-aborting. Yeah, my melons had mini fruits on them last year, but I think they died because of frost. Yes, we had frost too a little earlier than is the norm, so I think that's what killed my melons. But I was so looking forward to the fruits, but I think I'm a lot more positive about growing melons this year because I tried last year, and for the first time, they actually grow to the point where they started producing fruits. And the previous year that I tried, they didn't grow. I think one grew to about 12 inches, and the other one was something about 3 to 4 inches, and it did not grow any further than that. But then I think that first year was my fault because melons required a lot of sun, and where I had them, they weren't necessarily getting a lot of sun. So this year, I'm planning for them, making sure that I give them adequate sunlight and see what happens with them. It would be interesting to see all those varieties. I'm hoping that they actually grow. The only thing I'm worried about is whether or not I will have enough space for them to run. I'm going to be growing them vertically, but even then, might have the space, but in terms of sufficient sunlight, some of them might run underneath one of those full Dutch elm trees in the backyard. So we'll see. Why do they do that? I had one and then it had red gummy stuff on the bottom, grown vertically. That penetrated the rind, so no eating that. Okay, red gummy stuff. It would be interesting. Do you know what that red gummy stuff was? Is it caused by pests or something? Would be interesting to find out. Okay, your seedlings are on the dining table. Melanie says you will have the gut and we love it. Okay, okay, I hear you. Yeah. Let's see. Please had patwa. Bajans have a different sound, but we chat just like Jamaicans. All islanders do. Had patwa, feel free. Okay. Okay, since as you guys insist. Yes, there's sometimes I wonder if maybe my viewers won't understand what I'm saying because even that outro where I say, yeah, man, it's time to grow, that is actually not the way I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it in full patois, but then I was wondering if my viewers would understand what I'm saying. So I just make it so that the yeah, man is added to English. Good to know. Thank you. Okay. I heard it can affect worms if they come in contact when it's dry. Okay, but once it's wet, it doesn't harm much of anything. Okay, okay, yes, because I figured it should be able to harm the worms if it is harming other type of caterpillars. I can understand for the insects, but if it is harming caterpillars, I figured it would be a bit harmful for worms as well. But it's good to know that if it is wet, then it's okay. Let's see. I know I don't want them to come back. I won't plant the squash in the same bed, that's for sure. Yes, that's a very good idea, not putting it in the same location. Okay, any idea how to avoid the spots on zucchini leaves? What type of spots? Is it white, mildewish looking spots? Let's see. Yes, a lot of times there are some, what is it called, fungus that affects members of the squash family, zucchini included. And sometimes it is caused by not having sufficient sunlight, or it's not warm enough for them. There are other reasons why the plants may have them. But as for the treatment, I don't remember how you would go about treating that. So I'm going to have to go back into my notes and then let you know. Yes, but I don't remember how to treat it if it is that white powdery mildew looking thing that you're having on your plant. It's not necessarily the same as powdery mildew, the ones that affect the squash, although squash do tend to have powdery mildew too. But I'll have to go back in my notes and then maybe next week or Friday when I'm doing the live, if you're here, I can share that with you. Let's see, Russell says, so I started with 2 gallons of compost. I shred compost. It's fluffed up to 2.5 gallons. And I had a quarter cup of diatomaceous earth. Mix, then had water. Then the bedding fluffs up to 3 gallons. Okay, nice. Yeah, I wasn't really sure how much diatomaceous earth to actually put in the worm bin because I've never really been using diatomaceous earth in the worm bin. But yeah, it's nice to have a formula to work with. Oh, hi, Herban girl. Yes, it's nice to have a formula to work with because I threw a lot of the diatomaceous earth in my 55-gallon European bin that is in the garage. I just threw a lot of it on, on the surface because I wasn't really sure how to use it in there. But then I know that my worms are not on the surface of that bin because the surface of the bin is a bit dry. Yeah, so I guess I'll be trying that formula. Let's see. LB says it may have been this disease, can't remember the name, possibly spread by beetles, I'm thinking. Okay. You are welcome, my dear. Yeah, so, oh yes, I need to jot that down so I don't forget to look up the information for you. Ah, my hands are leaking. Can't even hold on to my pen. Yeah, so I'm actually can't wait until I get my outdoor projects that I'm working on done because I've got so much that I have to get done. So I need to get the outside project done. But it's coming on quite nicely. I think I will get it done. Wednesday, I think I'm going to be outside pretty much all day until about 5 because it's supposed to be a pretty nice day. So we're going to have like 17 above. So I'm going to see how far I can push the project. I was hoping to have it done by the end of this week, except for reseeding the lawn. Let's see. Oh, you would like to hear on White Talk Patwa. Well, the chances of you hearing her speak Patwa is maybe 2%. uh, it's when sometimes I'm talking to her in Patwa and she'll start with the Patwa, and as soon as she start with the Patwa, it's back to the English because that's what she's used to. Yeah, so I don't know. Let's see, Russell says, when I have powdery mildew in my on my pumpkin, squash, cucumbers, I boost my breeders' sizes with milk replacers. Make casting tea and the spray for the mildew vanish. Oh, so the worm tea actually help with powdery mildew as well. That's interesting. This seems like really powerful stuff. Yeah, I guess now the more I listen to you talk about the worm tea, now I'm thinking I need to start using more worm tea. Okay, so you're looking forward to that too. Oh, Melanie, regarding the castings that I sent you, if you have, you too, my dear, have a good evening. If you have, if you notice any white worms in there, those are not, those are not red regular hatchlings. They're actually potworms. Yes, so usually the red regular hatchlings, they'll have a little pale pinkish color when they're hatched, very pale pink, and then they will get their true colors later on. Within 8 hours of birth, they tend to get their pigmentation. So if you see any cream color or whitish looking worms in your castings, it would not be red regulars. So don't try to save those. Yes, so I finally confirmed that the worms I'm having in my bin are pot worms, and they are there because I fed the bin food scraps, which I'm not accustomed to doing. Oh, hi, Cindy Squirrel. So I don't know. I think I gave them too much food scraps, and it caused, even though the food wasn't acidic, it caused their population to go because the food scrap kind of made the bin a little bit wetter than it should be. So I end up with an explosion of these potworms. So now I'm trying to get rid of them. Yeah, so I'm just sharing that with you, Melanie, so that if you see them, you don't try to save them thinking that they're the hatchlings of the red wigglers. Okay, Mac says, this is what I mean. Great info flying around here. Russell, good one. Yeah. Yes, that's the purpose of these lives, so we can all learn from each other because there is so much to learn out there, and no matter how much experience we have, we can never know everything. So it's always nice when we can talk to one another and learn from one another and put all of these practical information to good use. So you want to know what is Patwa, which is spelled, I don't know, it is a Jamaican language, but yet it has a French spelling, French pronunciation, because it is a Jamaican dialect. So Patwa is a combination of various languages. Its origin is from Africa because, as you know, most Jamaicans are descendants from Africa from the days of slavery. So it is actually a dialect, a Jamaican dialect, and it's a combination of English, French, Spanish, Dutch, and various African dialects combined. So it's not really, it is a language to itself, and in the last couple of years, it has become an official language for Jamaica. So yeah, so it's actually spelled Patois. So it's more like a French spelling. Say, LP says, indeed, I really appreciate talking to other gardeners and hearing each other's experience. Okay. Yes, it is. It is good. It's good. A lot of knowledge, lots of information to gather. And then sometimes we know these things, but if it is not something that we're using, if it's not information that we use often, then we tend to forget. So when someone come on and say, okay, do this, or we can do this way, I'm like, yeah, but I knew that already. Can't believe I forgot about it. Yeah, so yeah, these days I tend to make a lot of notes so that because I know I'm gonna forget. But at least when I have my notes, the only trouble I'm going to have is finding the information to know where exactly I have the notes. But yeah, it's good sharing all this info. In just a minute, I gotta see if my little boy is crying or playing. Oh, okay. Okay, he's fine. They're having fun. Let's see, Melanie says, okay, thanks for the heads up. We'll sure save some of my castings to make worm tea. Okay, glad he's okay. Yeah, me too. Yeah, he's playing with his sister and they're pretending to be crying. To be a kids again. To be kids again. No worries in this world. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, so we have been so behind with my notes taking and gardening journaling. Okay, yeah. I am behind with my journals too, actually. I need to get them organized. Is the last because of this outdoor projects that is taking all my time. I haven't been able to organize them, so I'm just every time I have notes, I just put them in a basket, and that's it. They're just sitting there waiting to be organized, and then I have to transfer the notes to my books. So I'm way, way, way behind, but I think I will get there eventually. I think I'm just gonna, the only way I'm gonna get it done is if I set aside a few minutes each day and say, okay, I'm gonna spend 5 minutes and get these things organized. And well, yeah, it does take a lot of time and it does take a lot of planning, but I figured if you do it little at a time, it does not seem so overwhelming. And once you're doing a little bit each day, you're getting closer to getting it fully completed. So yeah, that is my goal. I don't know when I'm gonna get when I'm gonna get to it, but that is my goal. A little at a time until I get it done. Okay, so I keep taking pictures and saying I'll write the notes later. You are so right, a little each day. Yeah. Uh, Let me adjust that. Yeah, all that light was just coming in my face and blinding me. Yeah, for all those tasks that seem to take forever to get done, and seem so overwhelming. That is the method that I try to use to get them done, because sometimes you look at the mountain in front of you and it is so daunting that you don't even start. Although you know that if you don't get started, you can't get finished, but it seems so daunting. So these days I just try to do a little bit at a time, because one day it must be finished. Yeah, so anyway, I think if you guys don't have anything else to talk about, I'm going to be saying good night. Say yes, for sure, the big picture. Yes, always looking at the big picture. Yeah, so it has been a pretty good live. I am grateful that you guys were able to keep the conversation going so that I don't have to sit here and just look at myself. Oh, Lord. Thank you so much. Lovely live as usual. You're very welcome, my dear. It's only lovely because you guys do such a good part, and I really appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again, if possible, on Friday. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Let's see. Cindy Squirrel says, have a good night and enjoy those little ones while they are young. Yes. Melanie says, oh, I wish I was organized like you guys. Sometimes I don't even label the plants and then forget what they are. Yeah, that was me last year when it comes to labeling plants, because you figured that you're going to know what type of plant it is, and yeah, you can always tell a pepper different from tomato, but I mean, if you have two different types of tomato, you might not be able to tell which is which until they actually start producing fruit. So that was me last year. I made that mistake of not labeling stuff, and I paid the price for it. So now I make sure that when I'm starting my seedlings, everything is labeled so that I won't make that mistake. It says, I have a blessed night, all of you. Same to you, Matt Bayesian. Take pics, Melanie. At least you can look back. That is true. True. So have a great night, everyone, and take care of yourself. And happy gardening. Yeah, man. It's time to grow. Um,